I'm ready. All right. All right, good afternoon. We'll start the meeting for public safety for December 5th, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you for attending today. Any agenda additions or changes?
No.
All right. We'll move the agenda. Support, Commissioner Moudry. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Agenda approved. All right, approval of November minutes. Moved by Commissioner Drosha, support by Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved. All right, we'll start off with the first limited public comments. Seeing none?
Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to address the commission from my seat. Happy birthday, Tim.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we'll go on next to Sheriff's Office report.
Good afternoon. Under Sheriff Jeff Cook on behalf of Sheriff Reich. Had a pretty busy month in November. I'll try to give you some of the highlights. On November 7th, a passerby called in after viewing a very strange-looking vehicle sitting near the road at Bishop and Waverly. It was just into Eaton County. It was stripped. It was a 2015 Dodge Challenger, or what was left of it. It was stolen out of Ottawa County on November 5th. The car had everything removed. It was literally just the frame sitting on the side of the road. The information received indicated it was actually stolen from a car dealership showroom. On November 3rd, we had a fatal crash on I-69 at Vermontville Highway. An elderly lady was traveling northbound, veered off the road and crashed and rolled the vehicle. An off-duty officer observed the crash and believed that it was possible the driver had had a medical issue that caused the crash. On November 8th, our deputies responded to an MDOP, which was possibly an attempted home invasion in the 2700 block of Arch Road. An adult male suspect was seen tugging on the door at this location when no one was home. The homeowner saw him doing this on his Ring camera and called relatives who found the suspect walking down the road. The suspect claimed that he was not trying to break into the home. Deputies inspected the home, found the door handle on the screen door was badly broken from force being used against it. The suspect was currently out on bond for resisting and obstructing Eaton Rapids Police Department officers. He was arrested and charged at that time for malicious destruction of property and the bond violation. On November 10th, our deputies investigated an OWI third, operating while under the influence, third violation, which is a felony. It was a hit-and-run crash. A 62-year-old male was drinking in a sports bar in Delta Township, and on his way home, he crashed into the rear of a vehicle at Saginaw Canal and then fled the scene in his vehicle. The driver of the vehicle that he just crashed into followed the suspect, who parked in the BJ's warehouse lot and then took off on foot. Our deputies located the suspect outside of the nearby Quality Dairy store while he was on his phone asking his wife to come pick him up. He was arrested and lodged in our jail. And that would have been for another felony OWI charge. On November 11th, a motorist called in a vehicle that was swerving all over the road at very slow speeds. It was westbound on I-96. Deputy Rudicelli located the driver, who at first would not stop for him and was waving his arms out of the window. He was finally stopped west of Grand River. The driver told Deputy Rudicelli he was diabetic. He wasn't making a lot of sense. Did have an insulin kit with him. He could hardly speak. EMS arrived and checked his glucose level and said it wasn't that. Deputy Rudicelli then reevaluated the driver and thought he may have taken a controlled substance. He did find some evidence in the vehicle, including a morphine bottle that had antacid inside of it. Deputy Rudicelli followed the ambulance to Sparrow Hospital for a blood draw. The 62-year-old driver was out of Sterling Heights. He was admitted for some serious medical issues, but we're also looking into determining whether he was under the influence of a controlled substance when he was driving. On November 11th, Deputy Vodovsky responded to a report of a domestic violation strangulation that happened in the 5700 block of East Saginaw Highway. The victim reported to him that she had been strangled a week ago by the 40-year-old suspect whom she identified. She said she had went to his house with him and he strangled her until she was unconscious in a vehicle in the garage. She still had bruising visible on her neck. She said he then slapped her until she woke up and they proceeded to have sex. She said she didn't believe it was criminal sexual conduct, but also said she didn't want him to hurt her anymore. Since that time, he had been calling her and threatening her from a blocked phone number. He threatened that if she didn't give him $500, he was going to kill her pets, blow up her truck, and kill her. Sergeant Stopczynski and his shift assisted her in setting up a meeting with the suspect, but instead of seeing her, he was arrested by Sergeant Stopczynski and his crew of deputies. He was arrested without incident, and the charge was for domestic violence, strangulation, extortion, and using a computer to commit a crime since he had sent threats via email. She was unwilling to participate further in investigation or prosecution for criminal sexual conduct. On November 12th, Delta deputies went to an address on Cotswold Drive, and they arrested a 55-year-old male on a no-bond parole absconder warrant. Pretty serious charge if it was issued with a no bond, so they were able to arrest him without incident. On November 23rd, Deputy Ritter conducted a traffic stop at Saginaw and Brookside. The driver was arrested for resisting obstructing him and giving a false name. The front seat passenger fled from the traffic stop. Upon a search of the vehicle, deputies found a loaded Glock pistol located under that passenger seat. The 23-year-old passenger who fled was identified, and an arrest warrant is being sought for carrying a concealed weapon and for being a felon in possession of a firearm from the Eaton County Prosecutor's Office. That same day, when Deputy Ritter was coming back north on I-69 after lodging this person in the jail, he stopped another vehicle after a lien check showed that the owner of the vehicle had a felony warrant for driving under the influence, third offense. This driver was intoxicated, and so he was arrested for yet another OWI offense, and along with the felony OWI warrant. Good to get him off the road. On November 26th, Detective Lieutenant Aaron Campbell planned and organized what turned out to be a very successful retail fraud arrest operation. Deputies worked in conjunction with loss prevention staff at several retail stores. This operation resulted in 14 arrests, 2 of them were juveniles, 16 warrants were cleared, 1 firearm was seized, meth and heroin and analogs were seized, and a parole absconder was apprehended. This was all in a matter of approximately 8 hours. I'll give you some of the highlights of what the arrests were for. One was a 27-year-old female apprehended for misdemeanor retail fraud third, but also had 3 criminal bench warrants for retail fraud, go figure, and other misdemeanors out of Lansing, and she was turned over to the Lansing Police Department. A 41-year-old female was apprehended for retail fraud second, which means there was a higher dollar value, or she had a previous offense of retail fraud third. I'm sure the prosecutor can correct me if that's wrong, but I'm good, all right. And for resisting obstructing an officer, my memory's still pretty good on that stuff, not perfect. She resisted and obstructing an officer during the arrest. She had 5 outstanding warrants, including an assault warrant, and was also a parole absconder. The next case was a 31-year-old female who was arrested for retail fraud second and also had a criminal bench warrant for fraud from our county. The 34-year-old male that was with her was arrested for a violation of a personal protection order protecting her from him, and a criminal bench warrant for operating while under the influence from Kent County. You just can't make this stuff up. It's a 32-year-old male also with them. He was arrested for a criminal bench warrant for assault and battery out of the Lansing Police Department. Another case from that operation, a 36-year-old male. He was arrested in possession of methamphetamine and a loaded Taurus .45 caliber revolver, which the model is called Circuit Judge, was seized from the vehicle. With him was another 35-year-old male who was arrested for a criminal bench warrant for retail fraud and another misdemeanor warrant for retail fraud, and both of those are Eaton County warrants. So that lets you know that the operation was highly successful. It was well-planned, extremely well executed, took a lot of people off the streets that were committing the very crimes that we were seeking them for, and cleared up a ton of warrants. And they just did, my hat's off to them. They did a fantastic job. On November 23rd, Deputy Ritter conducted a traffic stop at Saginaw and Brookside. The driver was arrested for resisting obstructing him and giving a false name. No, I'm sorry, that's the same complaint. It was printed twice on the page. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I apologize for that. Didn't mean to waste your time with that. On November 28th, deputies responded to a personal injury accident which occurred on northbound I-69 near mile marker 66. Cars swerved to miss a broken down motorist, which was in the right lane, and then collided together. Several occupants were transported to the hospital. Their injuries did not appear to be life-threatening. The freeway was shut down while dealing with this crash scene. On November 30th, we had a request to assist the East Lansing Police Department. East Lansing PD requested our 911 dispatch to put out a very timely be on the lookout, commonly referred to as a BOL, for a 30-year-old breaking and entering suspect who lived on Apple Tree Lane in Delta Township. Our dispatch got it out very quickly, within minutes of the actual crime having occurred. East Lansing PD requested that if we located him, that he be arrested. The entire shift set up in positions around the entrances to the neighborhood, and Deputy Zemer was sitting at St. Gerard and saw the suspect vehicle described to us in the BOL. It drove by him and pulled into the other St. Gerard's parking lot, and the suspect was stopped and arrested without incident, and East Lansing PD came and picked him up. And that takes care of the significant highlights. There were quite a few of them. Are there any questions that I can attempt to answer for you?
Questions, Commissioner Drosha?
Yeah, Under Sheriff Cook, could you describe to us just what is retail fraud?
Retail fraud was commonly referred years ago as shoplifting,
Okay.
but it can involve much more than that. A person can steal something from the store, or they can switch the price tag on an item, and that's where the fraud comes in. Sometimes they will misrepresent it as being a less expensive item by doing something like that, or they could try to return an item to the store that may have been stolen and try to return it for cash. There's several different ways for them to do it besides just stealing an item, and so it was encompassed into a broader statute called retail fraud, and it involves different levels of offenses. If it's a dollar value of less than $1,000, might even be less than that, it's retail fraud third, or it's a first offense. Retail fraud second is usually a second offender who has been convicted of retail fraud previously, or it's a higher dollar value. Retail fraud first involves thefts of over $1,000, or numerous convictions of retail second or third. Is that close, prosecutor? Dollar value, I wasn't recalling exactly.
Third is 0 to 200. Second is 200 to 999.
The $9.99. And third is over 1,000.
Right.
Okay.
First is over.
And having his extensive period with economics crimes unit, that's burned into your.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Under Sheriff Cook? Commissioner?
I was wondering, there was a number of people you got at the same time. Were they all in the same, you call ring, or were they?
No, those were all independent interactions. Loss prevention was in communication with our people that were working the operation, and they were apprehended at different locations at different times. Some of them were together, as I
Yeah.
talked about in there. They were together, traveling together, committing their crimes together, and it was just amazing, the number of charges that resulted from it.
Yeah, sounds like it was really good, spread out like that and still get them, so.
Well,
thank-
and then,
thank you,
and then
guys.
sometimes there's another crime that's called organized retail fraud, where people are having an organized plan, and I'm sure the prosecutor can, there's many more elements to it, but it's usually involving two or more people that are involved in a plan to go out and commit retail fraud and numerous retail frauds.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Under Sheriff Cook. You guys are busy, obviously, and obviously keeping Doug Lloyd's office busy, too. Thank you for reporting that. All right, moving on next, looks like we have a resolution to approve the United Township Police Service Agreement. Quickly here, I have in front of me United Township, just so you know, for 2025. I know it's in your packet, but just some more information. For 2025, the 15 hours was for this year, coming January 1 through December of 25. It's for 15 hours, 65 per hour to cover overtime. Township will allocate a sum of $50,000. Just to compare, in 24, 15 hours, we're at $60 per hour. Overtime, township allocation was a total of $45,000. And in 23 was 15 hours at $60 per hour with overtime allocation of $45,000. So for the United Township, I would move that. All right, supported by Commissioner Drosha. Any other questions on that, United Township? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next one is the resolution to approve Windsor Township Police Agreement for Windsor. It is in your packet, but again, I'll add some information here for 2025, which is January 1st through December 31st of 25. 80 hours at $134,570 for biweekly. 2024, it was 80 hours at $123,735 for biweekly. And then for 23 was 80 hours at $123,773 per biweekly. And I would move that. Yes, I'd move that for Windsor Township. All right, supported by Commissioner Drosha. Any questions on that agreement? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next we have up Central Dispatch update.
Good afternoon, Kelly Cunningham, Eaton County 911 Director. As you can tell from the sheriff's report, we also had a busy month with calls, and I appreciate our partnership with the Sheriff's Department. They did reach out before the retail fraud operation, and we created a communications plan for them. What that does is it assigns a talk group for them that is dedicated. We also have a dispatcher that is assigned to that talk group and manages all their requests and the units on this operation. And then it also has a plan for if something happens during that operation, the incident expands, and we need lots of help that way of what we're going to do. So it really just sets the communications plan before the operation or event happens, and make sure we're all on the same page. So if chaos does happen, we know what is expected. Telecommunicator Lane Powers, she attended the basic 40-hour dispatch class. This is state mandated training, and so a lot of times we try to host them right at our center, and we bring people from other agencies to our center for this training. It helps save cost on lodging and food because it is a week-long class and it is state mandated. We can use our state 911 training funds that we do for this training. But next week, she will be attending the 40-hour advance class. So in the 911 industry, our telecommunicators have to attend a 40-hour basic and then a 40-hour advance. And then after that, they are required 24 hours of continue ed every 2 years. And that's just for the dispatch side. There's other certificates and training that they have to for like emergency medical dispatch. We are moving forward with our law enforcement mobile computer terminal replacement. These are our MCTs. So these are the computers that are in all the law enforcement vehicles. What we are doing though, because of the unknown of the county's financials, is that we are replacing the smaller agencies. So Charlotte Police Department, Eaton Rapids Police Department, Bellevue, Olivet, Grand Ledge, we are working on those first. And then we will look at replacing the Sheriff's Department when we have some more information. The other thing is that both Eaton Rapids Police Department and Charlotte Police Department have gone live with their flock cameras. These are automatic license plate reader cameras that are set up in their city. Eaton Rapids has 6 of them and Charlotte has 8. I know that in both Charlotte and Eaton Rapids, only 4 cameras are up at the moment. But what this does is that it scans license plates, and it will only notify the police department, but they also gave us access to it for stolen vehicles, stolen plates, warrants. So if the registered owner has a warrant that is in NCIC, then it will hit on that, Amber Alerts, and missing people. We did have our first good, I guess, read of that. It was a few days ago, and there was a stolen vehicle in Eaton Rapids. They did chase it and get it stopped, and it was indeed stolen out of Miami, Florida. How it made it all the way to Eaton Rapids, I don't know. So this is doesn't cost dispatch anything. These are all paid for by the local entities, but they did give us access to them. So when we get a hit on a vehicle, we enter it into our CAD system, our computer-aided dispatch, and we enter a be on the lookout, a BOL. So we air it for all the agencies listening, and if they go see the vehicle, they can do what they need to do. So, and then the last thing is 2 weeks ago, we had a supervisors meeting and we really talked about personal strengths and weaknesses, and then also strengths and weaknesses as an organization. We compiled a list, had a good in-depth conversation about that. And then last night, we had a dispatcher meeting. So the supervisors work the floor, and Francis and I are down having a meeting with all of our dispatchers. We don't get to be with all of them all the time, so it's nice to have them all in the same room. I think the supervisors like to be alone and have their free range of dispatching without the dispatchers, so it works out well. But in this meeting, we really set goals and intentions for 2025 and stress the importance of, we do a lot of good things, but there's areas of improvement. And so we had great discussion, and everyone seems to be very happy, and the outlook for next year is great. So that is all I have.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Those flock cameras, then, they're just, I guess, mounted somewhere, certain roads, and then just,
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Eaton Rapids, there's one at Canal and Main Street. And so there's one facing southbound and one facing northbound. And then the city of Charlotte is really trying to have them at any point where you could make entry into the city. So right now, they're on the on and off, or the off ramps of 69 coming into Charlotte. And then they'll be on like Lansing Road, Packard, Lawrence. And then it always faces each direction. So they're still and it captures the plate. And so it'll show a picture of the car with the plate on it, and then it will show the information that comes back. Sometimes they don't match up if like there's snow or a sticker covering part of the letter. So we always make sure that it matches before we air it for the officers listening.
I think it's great. I mean, especially for like, Amber Alerts, things like that. That's great
Absolutely.
technology, yeah.
So, and the biggest thing is we're stressing that if there's a missing person and they left in a vehicle or they're known to be in a certain vehicle, to get that plate entered so that we have the capability of getting those alerts if that car drives by one of the cameras, so.
Sure. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Kelly? All right, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
All right, moving on next, emergency management report.
Yep, good afternoon, everyone. Just to highlight a few of the things that we've been working hard on. So you've heard me come up and talk about the last few months probably, how Elle and I have been working really hard on what we call our plan sync. So trying to take all the plans that we maintain, that we evaluate, and that we revise and put them on one consistent evaluation and revision schedule, right, which would require any of the plans that we maintain to come back to the board for repromulgation. So we're really nearing that point. We're in a lot of plans review between the emergency operations plan, recovery plan, continuity of government, departmental continuity of operations plans. I could name you probably another half dozen others, but working through the month of December to try and really hammer those out and then get those to the new board for repromulgation after the new year is our plan. So we're going to keep working on those, making sure we get our plan reviews in place. Just a couple of other things that took place. Spent a lot of time at University of Olivet this last month. University of Olivet hosted the annual Campus Connections training and exercise, which is an annual event that is hosted by the Michigan State Police Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division. And they travel around to different colleges and universities on an annual basis, and they selected University of Olivet this year. But it's basically a time for the academic side of emergency management to get together with local emergency managers outside of other venues and forums that we usually participate with them in. But just to connect, have some dialogue, do some strategic thinking, and then ultimately culminate in like an exercise at the end of the day to try and get us talking across the aisle, right? Because we have to work on those relationships to making sure we're all working together, marching to the same sheet of music. So the other opportunity at University of Olivet, we biannually, I usually participate in their criminal justice mock interview program, which is really fun for me. An opportunity to go meet with the students. They go through a mock interview process with myself and some other law enforcement and other law enforcement professionals, and then also get an opportunity for resume review, cover letter review. Again, a really cool opportunity for us to do usually twice a year. A couple other just recognitions that I want to make sure we get out on the table. Ella, as well as Maddie Vervaca, the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator with the Barry Eaton District Health Department, both completed over 150 hours of training and passed their exam to become or to have that professional emergency manager designation or the PEM designation, which I'm really, really proud of. That's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of study time, a lot of classroom time, a lot of persistence to move towards completing that exam and then finishing that up and getting that designation. So really proud of them. That designation specifically for Ella falls within our strategic goal number 6 within our multi-year strategic plan to achieve a deeper comprehension and proficiency. So really proud to check that box and get that off the list. The last thing that I want to touch on, and there is a piece of communications within your packet, something that's been on my mind for quite a while to get done, was making sure the county achieved their storm ready certification. And following extensive plan reviews, site visits, meetings with different meteorologists with the National Weather Service, and ultimately leading up to a meeting at their all-staff meeting at the Grand Rapids Forecast Office back in October, which was supposed to be a 20-minute discussion, which turned into 90 minutes, which was fantastic dialogue. But we have achieved our storm ready certification, which I'm really, really proud of. And I want to read the letter right within your packet from Nathan Jeruzel, who's the storm ready program leader for the Grand Rapids Forecast Office. He says, "Dear Eaton County Board of Commissioners, the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids congratulates Eaton County on becoming a storm ready county. And you may wonder what storm ready is and what it means to be a storm ready county. Storm Ready is a program for communities to follow a set of standards and protocols in order to be as prepared as possible for hazardous weather. These standards and protocols include having various sources to receive hazardous weather information, having multiple ways to monitor hazardous weather situations, and being able to effectively communicate the information to all people within the county. In addition, the Storm Ready program asks communities to have hazardous weather plans established, to hold exercises to practice handling various situations, including hazardous weather, and to provide training for various groups of first responders and dispatchers. Ryan and Ella have worked hard for the people of Eaton County to make sure the county is as prepared as possible for hazardous weather situations. When hazardous weather is pending, they have procedures in place to notify the people of Eaton County via social media, email notifications, and other mass notification systems to alert them. The partnership between Eaton County and the National Weather Service is also a big part of the Storm Ready recognition. The partnership includes open lines of communication, weather messages ahead of impactful weather, and helping each other out with various weather requests 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Storm Ready does not mean a community is storm-proof. If that was an option, I'd probably go for that too, but that's not an option. It does mean it is as prepared as possible for various impactful weather events. Congratulations once again to Eaton County on being recognized as a Storm Ready county. Sincerely, Nathan Jeruzel, the Storm Ready program leader. And I've been on my mind for a long time to get this done. Finally got it done. Very proud of it. We join, I think we're up to 65 counties, municipalities, tribal nations, and private sector partners that have achieved this here throughout the state of Michigan. So we're going to work on getting some recognition reminders up in the Emergency Operations Center just to remind us that we are a storm-ready community, and we will look to re-up this in 4 years' time in November 2028. But that's all my report.
Thank you, Ryan, for your report. Any questions for Ryan? Congratulations to you, Ella, and Maddie for your accomplishments. Great job. All right, moving on next. We have miscellaneous. I do have one thing to bring up in miscellaneous. Chairperson Mott reached out to me, and I know there have been discussions around the idea of a public safety millage. I would like to see this discussed at today's Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Mott requested us to pass a motion to support for staff and Ways and Means to evaluate, most important thing here, and to create language for a public safety millage. And any discussions on that? If not, I would like to move it. Supported by Commissioner Drosha. Again, this will be for language so that we can pass this on to the Ways and Means Committee on Friday, December 13th of 2024. All right, if no other questions, Commissioner Drosha?
So will this language be generated here at the county level, or would you have to go back to state to get language for this?
County,
Okay,
run through legal counsel.
so this one will make sense.
It'll be used.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Anything else under miscellaneous?
No, sir.
All right, seeing none, we'll go to our last limited public comment. Seeing none, we will adjourn to next year, 2025. Thank you for coming.